This week, Focus Outdoors is back on Mille Lake fishing Tullibee, the second day of what is a great trip, with many fish being caught and friendships made. Dickie really helped by plowing the roads. It made it easy to drill holes, have decent footing, and not fighting deep snow when trying to move around. This has been an enjoyable trip on many levels. And boy, did our crew learn a lot about this amazing fish. Stay tuned and enjoy. Starting out on day 2, Tony had the hot hand. The Tulllibee seemed somewhat finicky, so we had to change presentations a little bit. But the graph was showing fish, so fish we did.
We're out here on Mille Lake today trying to catch some Tullibees and getting some waves of some decent Tullibees, and the perch are coming through. Perch kind of bite a little bit different than the Tullibees. They'll tap on it a few times where a Tullibee will grab it and hang on and give it a good pull, or they'll start chasing our flasher. Basically what we're using today is a flasher about 2 feet above a tungsten jig with some Euro larvae on it, and when they start chasing that spoon, you just raise up to them and you know they're Tullibees, and they usually take it pretty good.
Little perch. You even got a little perch out here. Ouch. Well, where there's perch, there's Tullibees, and where there's perch, there's walleyes, and where there's perch, there's northerns. Another one for the smoker box. More Euro larvae on my hook, and I'll be ready to go again. That's about the 4th one I've missed down the last probably 5 minutes. So the fish are here. As soon as they start biting, we'll have more to smoke. Yeah, today we're fishing out on Mille Lake. We're fishing probably about 4 miles on lake, and it's called the July Bar. It's a 40-foot hole out here, deep bowl, one of the deepest parts of the lake out here on Mille Lake. And what it is, it's a real mucky bottom, and there's a lot of bugs out here, bloodworms, and that's what these Tulllibee and perch, and once in a while you get a walleye and a northern out here. They're cruising around because northerns are out here looking for the Tullibees and the small perch to eat, but you know, these Tullibees are out here eating the bloodworms. That's why we're using our red Euro larvae. Waxworms, they're white, they won't touch them, but if you put the red Euro larvae on with the small black jig, it looks like a bug coming out of the mud, and that's what these things we're catching them on. I mean, it's you get a big school in here and you're catching 4 or 5 at a shot, or maybe 10. And your limit's 10, so it makes for a quick day when you're out here fishing. But we got our FL8s, and I mean, you could watch them come in on our FL8s. We got our JT rods. We got the couple guys are using some St. Croix stuff. We got some tip-ups out just in case northern cruises through. But what this is just a big, deep hole out here, just a deep basin, and it's mucked out here, and the bugs are there, and that's kind of why we're out here. Dickie come out yesterday, and we probably got that on yesterday where he plowed us some roads out here. So we got a pretty carte blanche out here. We were fishing on some nice dry ground. It's got a lot of snow around us, and sun's out. It's a nice day, and as you see, we're not too well dressed to be out here, but we're having fun. We're all getting sunburned, by the way.
See that spring bobber just barely wiggle. There we go. And that I actually let him suck it in instead of trying to take a reaction to it. And I've got to be real careful here because I've got 2-pound main line and 2-pound dropper line. This is a little better fish. I'm not so sure he didn't swing into the other one here. Either that or that one's getting bit. Chunky one. I get a hold of him. What I'm doing here is we're fairly early in the day and these fish are around, but they're just being sluggish as all heck. And we're in 40 foot of water. So what I've done is I took and sacrificed a big tungsten jig. Not even sure what it weighs, but the idea is just to get it down. And I simply pinched the hook down and made an eyelet in effect out of it, tied on a 2-pound fluoro dropper down to just a super tiny tungsten jig. And I'm gonna guess that's, this is like fly stuff, like 14, 16 size hook. And even with the spring bobber, I'm letting them pull that bobber and not reacting to it, and just letting them slowly load that, and then just slowly lifting up. Once again, with the light line, I'd snap it if I were to do one of these jobbers. It's just a wrist type thing. And it's turned the tables. As soon as I tied it on, put it down, just as fast as I can get it down, I get bit. Now, interestingly enough, literally just a few seconds ago, I did a piece on how I really downsize things, and didn't get a chance to get the rod back in the water. What I'm doing is, we can run 2 rods here in Minnesota, is I'm running what we were using yesterday. That's a little heavier setup that was working quite well when they were active, as just a dead rod. And you can see it's probably a 2.5 foot dropper off a flasher type spoon for weight to get it down quickly, and then a small black tungsten jig, and just using that as a deadline, not doing anything. They're coming by and grabbing that as well, so you just will have that extra line down where you're actively jigging, and this screen is just loaded with fish. With that, I'm going to get this back down.
Midwest Gun Dog Kennels is your full-time gun dog training facility. For over 30 years, we've customized our training to fit each individual gun dog. We know it takes a well-trained gun dog to handle wild birds to make every hunting trip a dream trip. Let Midwest Gun Dog Kennels put excitement back into your hunt of a lifetime. Midwest Gun Dog Kennels, where experience equals excellence.
No matter the size, age, or activity level of your best friend, you want a dog food that's natural, feeds great, and is full of all the goodness you demand. That's what we pack into every bag of Country Vet Naturals. Country Vet Naturals are just what the name says, natural goodness in every bag. We also make grain-free cat and dog food and treats. Learn more and find a dealer at countryvetnaturals.com. Country Vet Naturals, loved by pets, trusted by owners.
Cool.
As you might be able to tell, I spend a lot of time behind the shotgun. Whether it's at the clay target fields, sporting clays fields, doing exhibitions, or bird hunting, I always trust my shooting skills to the Rio elites. Not only for the lighter recoil, but as you can tell, the harder hitting, consistent patterns. These clay targets don't stand a chance when you shoot Rio elites.
For another little school to go through, I can throw another tip in how I really downsized and got finesse on these Tulllibees, as I'm using a spring bobber, and specifically St. Croix's Black Ice series of spring bobber rods. And they're a purpose specific rod where the spring bobber is actually built right in. As you can see, there's a little eyelet, and it kind of consists of a rubber grommet type system, and the spring bobber will slide back and forth, so you can add or make the tension less depending on the weight and what you're trying to do. In this case, I've actually overloaded it. Typically you just want a slight angle. I've overloaded it on purpose, trying to go even more finesse, so even the slightest little bump, if they even flare their gills, will load that spring bobber up more, and they don't feel it as much. And I'm letting them actually take it till they straighten this out. They've got a hold of it, hanging on to it, and not doing a radical hook set, just a snap of your wrist. None of this arm stuff, just a snap of your wrist, grab your reel, and keep steady tension. And with that, I'm also using 2-pound mainline and a 2-pound dropper. And these fish are 2 pounds plus, and they fight pretty darn good. They slash back and forth using their the width of their body and their tail, so we don't want to put any pressure, and these fish are going to be breaking off, retying constantly. Now later in the day, if these fish get going a little more aggressively, we can go to a little heavier rods, a little heavier line, bigger spoons, bigger jigs, and get away with it and wrench them up as quickly as we can. But being it's tough, this is actually allowing us to scratch a couple more fish. Playing around here between batches of fish going through, and with these Tullibees, what I'm finding anyway today is the high ones are obviously much more active, which is typical with most fish. If they're within the bottom foot or two, they're just sluggish at best. The higher ones are better, and then if you could also pull, which I've got one a little bit lower, and I'm going to go down to him and try to pull him up. If you can pull him up, you get a lot more commitment on him. He's just ever so slightly coming up to that tiny, tiny jig. And there's another one behind him, which there's another point too, is if you get several fish, you kind of get a competitive thing. And I think it ups your odds on getting bit. Now I've got a whole slug of the buggers below me. And I'm not doing a whole lot with action for jigging, because like I say, these fish are sluggish. I think it's actually going to turn them off a little bit. I'm just moving it enough to just have a little bit of wiggle down there and keep them interested. And then with that too, is if I'm moving a whole bunch, I can't see what's going on with that spring bobber. You can see how that's bouncing. And with that bounce, with a slower movement like I'm doing here, just ever so slowly, I think that spring bobber helps, I just missed one, helps compensate for a bunch of that jerky motion. It makes it kind of flow, and it's more natural here. Continuing to play with these finicky fish right now. And as I'd mentioned previously, I went to a heavy tungsten jig and a small, tiny, tiny tungsten dropper. And it's key to have really good electronics like the Vexilar here, because the target separation is so small. One, it will mark that tiny jig, which a lot of units won't. And then the separation is phenomenal. I mean, it's just minute. I can just ever so slowly move that around. And some of these fish, literally, you can barely even see them put any load on the spring bobber. You're actually setting to the Vexilar at times. You can just see the things start to do a little bit of a throbby red when you know it's right on your jig. Just do the little wrist thing, and a lot of times they'll be there, or otherwise you'd never even know if the doggone fish was there. And with a lot of other electronics, I've noticed too, to turn up the gain high enough to mark a tiny jig like that. When the fish comes through, it's going to come through as a big blob, and it may not be on your lure. It may be several inches away, but the big blob of the fish is actually going to overtake the screen and overtake your lure, and you're not going to know exactly where he's at to make those small, precise movements to get him to bite. Another little tip, and it's kind of minute detail, but it does make a difference in a simple way you hold your rod. Unfortunately, I see a lot of guys, they just ham hand that thing like this. One, you don't have a lot of sensitivity, and also you don't have a lot of reaction. And the third thing is I hold it, just run it between your thumb and your index finger, and I actually run, myself personally, my middle finger up on the blank, or your index finger if you like. One, that lends a sensitivity, that blank runs right up your finger, which makes a difference. We're using the spring bobber system, not so critical there, but what I do is I actually slightly squeeze down on the rod with that index finger. I'm not actually moving my arm at all. If you can tell, I'm just steady, rock steady, which helps with your bite detection as well, but you just get the fine little tiny movements that way. Then you go to set the hook, you just simply snap up. No arm movement, no shoulder involved at all, just snap up. Grab your reel, keep going.
See what we're using today out here catching these Tullibees. I'm using a JT custom rod. It's called the Panhandler, and it's really sensitive blank. I'm not using a spring bobber or nothing on this one. It's just a sensitive, real sensitive rod, and you can get them through JT on the internet. It's the only way he sells them. You can't buy them in the stores yet. They don't have them in the stores. You buy them direct so you can get a better deal on them. And they're custom handles, custom made. They got really good eyes on them, good feel. And I mean, I've been using them for the last couple of years. I use them in the summertime. He builds custom summer rods. And then what I'm using is a flasher from Custom Jigs and Spin on here with 4-pound test line is all I'm using. And then a tungsten little panfish jig is what we're using, and we're loading them up with waxworms is what we're doing. And that's what these Tullibees are biting. They won't bite anything big. It's got to be small for these Tullibees. And then we're loading them up with waxworms, or Eurolarvae. Red Eurolarvae is what they're what. They won't touch a waxworm, so you got to use the red Eurolarvae because it looks like a bloodworm down there. And I've tried all different techniques through the years, and this one's been the best. Like I said, I've been using this JT rod. I use them for walleye fishing. I use them for pan fishing. The ones I got for pan fishing have spring bobbers on them. They'll throw them any way you want. But when you go to their website, look for JT on a website, and give them a call. They'll talk to you. They'll explain to you what you want. Or if you go to sport shows, they're at all the sport shows. Like I said, he's got summer rods. He's got winter rods. Look for JT, and you'll be happy once you get one in your hand and use it. All right, now we got Dickie over here. He's the one that did all our work for us, plowing our roads, and he's just fishing a little ways away from us. And this is what Dickie's using. He's got a minnow flasher on his, and he's got a different kind of a blue glow jig on his, a tungsten. He changed up from what he was using before, and now he's using that. And if you notice, he's got his Eurolarvae on there, and he just brought us a bunch of more Tullibees over for the smoker. So Dickie, tell them what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Well, I'm doing about the same as I was yesterday, but I glow the thing, and I put the Mirror so the hook ain't showing. Yep. And they're seeming to like that better than with them wiggling around on the.
Well, it seems like if you got to cover the hook up. If you don't cover the hook up, they won't bite it.
But it's a neat little, it's pretty much the same as what we had yesterday, except it's a glow. It's a white glow with purple and a little bit of green on it, and it's working for me today. And yesterday I couldn't catch nothing.
Now, if you people want to come up here and do this Tullibee fishing, Dickie's probably one of the few guys that got roads out here. If he's maybe be the only guy who's got roads out. Give Dickie a call. Dickie will get you on the Tullibees. He'll come out here and show you what to do and how to do it. Or one of us will be out here, give Dickie a call, come on up. The roads will be open for a while. He's going to plow to the mud maybe today. So if you want to go perch fishing, we go out and go perch fishing. This one's a nice one. Now I got him caught in my transducer because I didn't go up and move it.
about perch?
What happened here, I missed 5 in a row, and the jig, I pulled it up and looked at the jig, and here I had straightened a little panfish hook out on it. And they're so small of hooks that you got to keep checking them, which I didn't check after the last 3 I caught. But you got to check the hooks. I put it right back down there, and after I straightened the hook back out, straightened it out, and loaded it back up with the Euro larvae, then I caught another fish. Right off, it wasn't down but a second, and there they were. So make sure you check your hooks every time you catch a fish, and I didn't. I reloaded again, put it back down there after I just missed the one, and there's so many tullibees down here right now that you bounce that thing off the bottom, and what they're doing is coming after the flasher. And I said, once you see them coming after the flasher attracts them, and then you lift your bait up to them, and they're there. And then, I mean, and like I said, we're using just a little panfish jig on these things, and you got to make sure you check your hooks, because I haven't been checking my hook, and I've straightened this thing out. I re-straightened it now again, and as soon as I put it down there, there's so many fish, tullibees down here, that you watch your flasher, and they're right there. You pick up to them, and they'll hit it right away. I mean, we got a good mess of them here. We should be getting done here pretty soon, the way the bite's going.
Midwest Gun Dog Kennels is your full-time gun dog training facility. For over 30 years, we've customized our training to fit each individual gun dog. We know it takes a well-trained gun dog to handle wild birds to make every hunting trip a dream trip. Let Midwest Gun Dog Kennels put excitement back into your hunt of a lifetime. Midwest Gun Dog Kennels, where experience equals excellence.
Dakota Pheasant Guide offers the best wild pheasant hunts from the Glacial Lakes area of South Dakota west to the Missouri River. Packages available include everything from self-guided to fully guided hunts. Book your bird hunting adventure now. Fishermen, iTime Promotions is your ticket to an enjoyable and successful day on the water. Call Dennis Foster for your outdoor adventure of a lifetime.
Dennis Foster here. I'd like to introduce you to the Dorado catch and release boat latch system. It's back the trailer into the water, pop the cord, and away we go. Once our day in the water is done, we simply roll the boat up onto the bunks until it achieves contact with the bow eye. It clicks securely into place, and away we go. We're exclusive partners with b2outdoors.com. That's where you're going to want to go and order your very own system. You can enter the promo code iTime Promotions and receive free shipping on your items.
When it comes to dog food and treats, you want something natural. A dog food or special reward that feeds great is made in the USA and helps your best friend live a long and healthy life. That's what you get with Country Vet Naturals, natural goodness in every bag. And for those of you who want grain-free, we've got that too. Find a dealer and learn more about Country Vet Naturals dog food, cat food, and treats at countryvetnaturals.com. Country Vet Naturals, loved by pets, trusted by owners.
Gotcha.
He's got that jig down his mouth. That's a dandy. Big heavy one.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Nice solid fish. That'll smoke up well.
As the day waned on, the bite had picked up. Everyone was hooking fish. The conditions were still good, even though a strong wind had picked up. Reflecting back on these 2 days, it was amazing the bounty that Mille Lake has to offer. While fishing for tullibees, we hooked walleyes, perch, and northern, all on a tiny jig that a tullibee can fit in its tiny mouth. Truly, Mille Lacs is an amazing body of water. We met a lot of good people while taping this show. What makes these shows possible are people like Chris Kudik and Dickie that took time from their busy lives to help. Thanks to Chris of Kudik's Guide Service and Dickie of Dickie's on Mille Lacs. They are good people.
Another solid.
Yep, you can mount it.
That one's surprising. That was right off the bottom. I was constantly thinking it was first.
He's got a buddy that wants this.
You better take all these.
This works good. You bait hooks too. Just wrapping up an awesome 2 days of Tulllibee fishing here on Mille Lacs Lake, northern Minnesota. Special compliments to Dickie's on Mille Lacs for plowing the roads for us, showing us that hospitality, and Chris Kudik here with Kudik's Guide Service for actually putting us on the fish, showing us the techniques to get them up on the ice. And I got to tell you, I'd never done this before. It's something that's always been kind of on the back of my mind. Didn't know a heck of a lot about it. Thanks to these guys, you know, they put us right on top of these fish. And I got to tell you, if you ever want something interesting to do as far as ice fishing, late season, a little different species, this is a place to be.
Diesel train rolls down the line as I'm headed for the land of corn and rye. There is a place I'm always satisfied, full of remedies to ease my worried mind, like pulling catfish on the banks of cherry.